to Cityline. With me, I have somebody who is so beloved in Tacoma. When I say her name, you're going to go, oh, of course. I'm talking about Mikel Stump. She is the Director of Exhibitions and Programs for the Washington State Historical Society. Welcome back to Cityline, Mary.
Thank you so much. It's always so good to see you.
It's great to see you, and I don't get to see you enough. So that is my silver lining of this pandemic. Of pretty soon, I'm going to get to go see my neighbor and take her for a ride in the convertible.
Yes, please. I'm ready. I've got my scarf ready to go.
Oh, there we go. So, Mary, the Washington State History Museum, they have just reopened as people are watching this after being closed for most of the past year. Mm-hmm. How does it feel to be open again? And what is important of reopening museums at this time?
You know, I mean, on a personal level, it feels great because that is our, we're such a forward-facing, public-facing institution and mission. We serve not just Tacomans, but everybody in the state of Washington. So we're thrilled to have our doors open again. And I'm also thrilled that the whole museum district is opening up because I think that the way in which cultural institutions nourish us are really important. I mean, we've been all under our respective rocks for a year and really trying to do those things for ourselves, but those museums provide such a node of connectivity around really important ideas and information and shared history that it provides a way for us to re-enter and reconnect not only with each other, but with the things around us.
Beautifully said. You know, one of the things that COVID has brought with it is the COVID fog, where time seems to be very elusive, but having the Washington State History Museum open again reminds us of what time does and how to respect it. So in that genre, do visitors need to buy tickets in advance and schedule their visits? Or do they just show up during the open hours? And then what are we doing about safety precautions for COVID?
Right. So we're opening at a 50% capacity. And for some museums, that the implications are different. But for us, we have a big building with big spaces. And so that means that we don't have to have timed entry at this time. So just come on in and get your tickets. We will ask, there is some protocols in place. We'll ask that everybody wear a mask. There's some attestation questions that we're all used to answering by now. Have you had a fever? Have you been around anybody? Have you had symptoms? And we have hand sanitizing stations all around. And unlike last time when we reopened for 6 weeks, we don't have to do a one-way path through the museum. So that feels a little bit more normal, a little bit better, a little bit like we're getting back to the way we used to be. So
absolutely. So you have a new exhibit about passenger train travel, which fascinates me. I have this goal to travel across the U.S. in a train. So tell us about this new exhibit.
First of all, I want the passenger car next to you on that trip. Second of all, Just the Ticket is a story not just about the history of railroad in Washington, but really the culture of train travel. You know, when trains started carrying passengers from point A to point B, everything changed. People could span distances in much less time than it would by a wagon or even a car or a horse. So everything started happening. There were trains had their own china, all the railroad lines terminated here in Tacoma. That's how we got the name City of Destiny. But also people even the way they dressed for travel changed. They had outfits to change into once they got to their destination, because traveling on a train was really dirty business. Literally, they would have coal and soot on their clothes, and so they would take clothes to change into upon arrival. We have some traveling clothes in the exhibition. We have some railroad china. We see even in toys, children's toys of the time. And we're talking about, this exhibition spans the late 19th century to about the mid 20th century, when railroad travel was at its height. But you see the shifts in the style of rail cars, even in the toys of the day. And so we have some of that in there too. Maps, ephemera,
Oh,
kinds of things related to train travel. So for everybody who missed the Model Train Festival last December because we were on lockdown, come on out and get your train on.
I love that. Get your train on. This next exhibit, I was awake way past midnight, and I happened to click on the website, and I saw it, and it literally woke me up, because I didn't ever expect the museum to do this. And it's called Crossing Boundaries, Portraits of a Transgender West. So tell us, how long has this been in the works?
I read an incredibly well-researched article by an author from Portland named Peter Boeg, and he wrote a book called Redressing America's Frontier West. And it's about how people who they didn't use this term at that time, but transgender people who defy gender norms, moved west because it was a place where, they had the freedom to really live life as they were. And Peter just did an amazing job. He co-curated this exhibition. As soon as I read the article a couple of years ago, I reached out to him and said, we really need to tell this story because it's so interesting. These are phenomenal individuals who contributed to society in so many interesting ways. And their stories are resilient and tender and sad and all of those things. Not everybody's story is all of those things, but this is a collection of stories that really are divided into 4 categories, and they're have to do with identity and visibility and really validating that these are not contemporary histories. These are stories that have been with us all along.
Absolutely. And I know you and I both share our love of history because it teaches us so much about the human condition.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of what we are still struggling to accept in our world has been going on for centuries.
Oh, yeah. That's
So
the importance of history, really, because we can refer back to that and say, this is not a new thing.
No.
And of course, any of my transgender friends would say, well, duh, but it's important for everybody else to know that too. And in fact, when we were sort of prototyping some of the graphics for the poster, I sent this to any number of my friends who are transgender, and they all said, I just feel so validated by this. I feel validated by the fact that you're doing the exhibition. I feel validated that you're telling these stories. I feel validated that the colors and symbols of the trans flag are making it into the graphic representation. And our mission is partnering with our communities to explore how history connects us all. And these histories are really important to tell. Many of these people have been erased by their families, by themselves, and by society. And it's really important that we amplify those stories so that it doesn't become a lesser known history, so that it becomes embedded in our daily fabric.
And what you just said so eloquently feeds into the next exhibition you have. And that's an opening, a gallery called Remembrance. And you've been working on this for a long time in partnership with the Japanese American community. What is it about, Mary?
So this is about the impacts, the generational impacts of Executive Order 9066, the order that was signed by President Roosevelt after Pearl Harbor was bombed that incarcerated tens of thousands of Japanese Americans and Japanese immigrants here on the West Coast, not just in Washington, but 300 miles inland from the coastline of the western part of the United States. We were so fortunate to be able to partner with Densho and the Japanese, the Puyallup Valley JACL, and other Japanese American civic groups and community groups to do community sourcing days, community scanning days. And this exhibition is in our permanent galleries, although it will be somewhat dynamic as we get new things or as things come off of loan. The stories will change probably every couple of years, and we really hope that we can talk about what happens generationally, both how you pass those stories down and how objects imbue and embody those stories that are passed down when the original people to whom these things happen are no longer there to tell their stories. There's a resilience in these objects, and there are really all kinds of impacts, activism and other things. And it's really important to know that these folks are still here. This community is alive and well and vibrant. And it's more important than ever when you see, when you hear and see all the horrific stories that are happening right now in the news. It's really important to amplify these histories that happened within these communities and not at their own hands.
Yeah, again, so much to learn about how we respect life is found in history. We are almost out of time. I could talk to you for weeks upon end. So, what are some of the upcoming highlights, Mary, for 2021? And as a reminder, Washington State Historical Society members get into the museum free all year. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely. And there are some other perks that our Director of Philanthropy has up her sleeve as well. So I'll come back another time and talk about that. But in terms of highlights, we are opening another brand new permanent gallery. We've been really busy. While everybody's been on lockdown, we've been working our tails off. And we're opening another permanent gallery called 360, which is in reference to the actual distance from the eastern imposed border of Washington State to the coastline. But it's also an idea, it's this exhibition is, what is it about this place that has sustained people since time immemorial and drawn people and kept them here? And it's multiple perspectives about the biomes of the mountains, the prairie, and the sea. And it really it's so special. I'm working on proofing the graphics right now. We will open at the hopefully in July. And we are so excited to be able to update our permanent exhibitions and tell these stories from multiple perspectives in ways that honor both the people who have always been here and those of us who got here as soon as we could.
Mary, it is always wonderful to sit at your feet and to listen to you. You are a born connoisseur of history and an amazing storyteller. And I love it that I got my Mary Mikel Stump shot in the arm today. So, my dear, please take care of you. And I hope that I get to see you in person very, very soon.
I'm going to wait for that convertible Volkswagen to drive down the road.
All right, sister, get out your lipstick and your cat eye
This
glasses.
time I'm hopping in. I'm going to have my second vaccine soon, and we're going to go.
It's a date. It's a total date. Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you. You take care, Amanda.
I will. We have much more to come on Cityline, so don't go away. We'll be right back after this quick message.